Well, we did it. With your encouragement and kind comments, I was motivated to complete my half marathon at a game preserve in South Africa at the age of 78. Let me tell you about this.
June 10th. We left our home in the mountains of Colorado in the afternoon. It took about an hour to get down to the airport shuttle. Then we took the shuttle for another hour to get to the Denver International Airport. We left the airport at 6:30, arrived in London 9 hours later. We flew on the British Airways A350 Airbus. That had the latest model of business class seats in it, and they were fantastic. June 11th. We arrived in London early in the morning and spent a 10-hour layover at the British Airways lounge in Terminal 5. It was quite comfortable with lots of food and drink. Later in the afternoon, we boarded another British Airways plane for Johannesburg. It seems South Africa is a long way from Colorado. June 12th. We arrived in Johannesburg at 9:30 a.m. after an 11-hour flight. So far we've been traveling for 30 hours, but we weren't done yet. We boarded a bus with other runners from around the world and had a 4-hour trip to the Entebbe Game Reserve. Then we switched to a four-wheel drive Land Cruiser safari vehicle with open sides and drove for more than an hour through the reserve to our lodge. Suffice it to say, we were a long way out in the bush. Our lodge was set atop a high escarpment overlooking a broad savanna. The lodge itself was sprawled along a hillside with thatched roofs and stone paths between the rooms. We had our first of many wonderful meals before retiring early. Because our first wildlife drive would start at 6 a.m. the next morning. June 13th and 14th. We went on wildlife drives both early in the morning and later in the afternoon for the following 2 days. Our guides were rangers in the reserve and were extremely knowledgeable about both plants and animals. Because our vehicles were open-sided Land Cruisers, we could get very close to the animals. The vehicles were so familiar to the animals that they simply ignored them. But these were definitely wild animals, and we didn't dare get out of the vehicles or even lean out too far. The rangers saw the animals every day and therefore knew a lot about their behavior patterns and approximately where they could be found. For instance, we saw a lioness with 4 cubs that had just killed a young giraffe the day before. The cub's father had been killed the week before while trying to take down a Cape buffalo and losing the battle. This rhinoceros baby was as big as a Volkswagen Beetle and not fully grown yet. We saw more animals than I have time to describe here. Uh-oh. In the middle of editing this video, my wife fell down and broke her hip. She also seems to be having trouble with breathing problems. She has fluid on her lung. So I'm going to stop this video right now to handle more serious problems, and I'll finish my story as quickly as I can. Thank you very much for your patience.